A horrific crime rocks a small town.
It was just a shock, a scene like this.
We were facing the potential here of a serial killer.
An investigation gone cold.
We had absolutely no suspects. I mean, we're just grasping for straws.
Can a stranger pick up the killer's trail and help solve the case?
Obsessed with her. A family error. Lock.
Mount Pleasant, Iowa.
911, where's your emergency?
Police respond to the call of a violent crime. Officers arrive at a local residence. They quickly move in to secure the area and race to the scene of a horrific crime.
They confronted a body laying on the garage floor in blood.
Yeah, don't pull. She's dead. She's cold. Open the door.
Police then discover another body in a nearby chair. 2 women shot at point-blank range.
We made sure that whoever committed the crime was no longer in the house and tried to comfort the father, Max Beavers, who was very, very upset.
The victims are Max's wife, Clementine, and 16-year-old daughter, Carol.
We're a small-town police department, and double homicide is more than we're capable of handling ourselves. So we protected the scene to try to preserve all the evidence, and I called the Division of Criminal Investigation.
It was important that nothing be overlooked in a case like this because of its seriousness. We focused on the house, trying to collect any and all evidence, whether it's blood, whether it's hair samples, anything that we thought would help us.
We tore the house apart trying to find shell casings, but there was nothing.
There was a lot of physical evidence, and there's always a lot of physical evidence at a crime scene. But in our situation, there was nothing that stood out and said, hey, there's a bloody fingerprint, there's a bloody shoe print.
While police continue to investigate the crime scene, Max Beavers tells an officer that one item is missing, the locket that Carol always wore.
We just didn't know whether the perpetrator took it or she had lost it.
We looked high and low, and I mean literally on our hands and knees with flashlights and toothbrushes.
But it's another discovery that grabs their attention, a rifle belonging to Max.
The first few hours you're there, you start trying to identify who might be capable of doing something like this. And in any investigation, you look close to home and work your way out.
And the story Max tells raises red flags. He claims he woke up to find Clementine missing from bed and only realized there'd been gunfire when he went downstairs and found the bodies.
He's asleep in the house when the shots go off. At that point, the agents were convinced that Max committed the crime. So they took Max's gun for ballistic comparisons.
The Beavers murders shake the quiet community of Mount Pleasant.
When you start talking about serious felonies that involve murder and those kind of things, that was just foreign to Mount Pleasant.
Most people were very afraid. People that never locked their doors started locking their doors and were concerned, you know, that something like this could happen in this town.
We looked at this gun from the Beavers' house, and it was eliminated as a weapon that might have been used on our victims.
Max was given a polygraph. Between the gun not being fired and he did well on the polygraph, we finally were convinced that it wasn't him.
Detectives find themselves without a suspect or a murder weapon.
So then we started looking at other people, and we interviewed anybody that could have possibly committed the crime.
We talked to friends of Carol's to find out if, in fact, someone had been bothering her, someone had been harassing her, but it just wasn't there.
With leads running dry, a friend of the Beavers suggests bringing in extra help from upstate New York.
My name is Phil Jordan. I'm a psychic investigator. I've been working with law enforcement for over 30 years. A woman that I knew here asked me if I would consider looking at a case of a double homicide in her hometown in Mount Pleasant, Iowa.
It was fine with me because we had no suspects, so we didn't have anything to lose.
Chief Hager sends Phil pictures of Clementine and Carol. In the meantime, police continue to scour the area for the missing gun.
The lab tested the bullets that were recovered from Clementine and Carol's body, and they were convinced that it was a Saturday night special 22 caliber handgun, so they were looking for a handgun. I mean, we just grasping for straws, and there weren't any. I mean, no viable suspect. There just was nobody.
When psychic Phil Jordan sees the photos, he immediately tunes in to the crime.
They forwarded me pictures of the victims, and then I tried to reconstruct what I feel happened.
Visions flood his mind.
A piece of jewelry, a family heirloom locket, a locket. Obsessed with her.
Can the psychic connect the missing locket to the killer? Psychic Phil Jordan has envisioned vivid details about the Beavers' murders and their killer.
A locket. His hair parted down the middle, dark hair. He knows her from high school, and she knows him. He's wearing an army jacket.
Jordan contacts police.
Yeah, I know a connection with a young man.
He was of the opinion that the perpetrator of the crime was somewhere between 18 and 21, had dark hair, parted in the middle. He thought the perpetrator had an army coat.
One thing I'm wondering if there's any connection with some jewelry, a piece of jewelry that's like a family heirloom piece that might be worn around the neck, like a locket.
What about the locket?
Police are dumbstruck. Phil is dead on.
The father described a locket that she had received from a family member, and apparently it disappeared.
Intrigued by the psychic's incredible ability, police fly him to Iowa for further investigation.
I was hoping that he could come up with something that would give us any kind of a lead.
Good to see you. Nice.
Basically, I let Phil Jordan take the lead.
I really prefer not to know a lot about the case before I tell you what I feel is significant.
Okay.
So maybe we should just go to the scene of the incident. When I'm in the physical atmosphere of where the crime took place, it just gets me closer, even if the crime has been weeks before. I'm very drawn to these stairs. The perpetrator went down the stairs. I feel like we've got to go this way.
Downstairs?
Yeah.
Okay.
She doesn't realize he's in the house. The mother. She was incidental. She was not the target of the crime. Something's very significant to this area and this chair right here.
One of the victims was found in a chair.
The mother was not the intended victim. She was incidental to the crime itself.
He mentioned that, in his opinion, Carol was the main reason for the attack on the Beavers' house.
She doesn't want anything to do with me.
Mom, are you okay?
Rage. I feel like we should go out this way, out through here.
Okay.
I feel something tragic happened right here. Something connected directly to the crime itself occurred right here.
The other victim was found right there, Phil.
If he can't have her, he doesn't want anyone else to have her. He leaves through a back service door exit. So I think that's the door that the perpetrator fled through.
We believe the perpetrator did exit the house through that door.
It was amazing, some of the things that he had come up with that were accurate.
There's something about bottles, alcohol, a bar, bottle, a kitchen. I see a restaurant, bottles, anger. This crime will be repeated. I feel like there's something significant around a restaurant.
Is it possible the perpetrator worked at a restaurant?
There's something more to it. There's something that will yet be revealed about a restaurant that will connect to this crime.
There were quite a few things that could have narrowed it down, maybe had we had a suspect, but because we had absolutely no suspects, it was not of a whole lot of use.
Then, an emergency call comes in from a local restaurant. Police respond to the scene of another violent murder. Has Phil picked up on the trail of a serial killer? Psychic Phil Jordan has predicted that the Beavers killer will strike again. When police respond to an emergency call at a local restaurant, they fear he might be right.
Susan Wheelock was the night bartender at the Iris. And apparently someone had broken in and she was attacked and beaten to death with pop bottles. So we had another murder investigation.
I see a restaurant. Anger. This crime will be repeated.
In a city the size of Mount Pleasant, when you have a second murder or a separate murder that occurs, we didn't know, frankly, whether this was a one-time deal or whether we were facing the potential here of a serial killer.
Police collect hairs and a bloody footprint for processing. And as they search for suspects, one employee draws their attention, a dishwasher named Monty Seeger. The bartender tells police that Seeger went to the local high school. When they dig further, detectives realize that it is the same high school that Carol Beavers attended.
He knows her from high school, and she knows him.
Police follow up at the school.
We discovered Carol was very nice to Monty. She would talk to him in the hall, and where a lot of other kids didn't. She went out of her way to be nice to him.
And when police search Monty's locker, they make a chilling discovery.
We found some photographs of Carol. There were quite a few. Apparently, he liked to take pictures.
And when the crime lab results come back on the restaurant murder, all the evidence points to Seeger.
Monty, we've got a warrant for your arrest. Get down on the ground. Down on the ground, Monty. Lay down.
When police arrest Monty, they're struck by his appearance.
His hair parted down the middle, dark hair. He's wearing an army jacket.
And instantly, he became the #1 suspect in the Beavers case.
Keep them there. Do not move.
I mean, here's a 18-year-old young man that was capable of committing a murder. Monty had an army coat, dark hair,
hair parted in the middle. I started working to try to figure out if we could put together enough evidence to get him arrested for the Beavers murders.
Police search Monty's house and find a rifle.
We sent it in for ballistics.
Firing in 3.
You test fire a bullet from the known weapon, compare the bullet from the body, and when you compare the two under a comparison microscope, you can see how they match up. They literally have their own identification, just like a fingerprint has its own identification. This bullet came from this gun. It's easy to say.
I was convinced that we had the right guy. This was our man.
But then, an unexpected result.
They could not match that rifle to the bullets that we'd recovered from the Beavers.
With their prime suspect slipping away, police consult the psychic again. Looking at the ballistics results, Phil has a powerful premonition.
I see a younger male in the immediate family of the perpetrator, brother with information. It appears to me that there's going to be a younger man in the family of the perpetrator that will come forward with information that will help you in regards to this.
If Phil is right, an informant is still out there. But can police get him to talk?
Phil had mentioned to me that someone close to the perpetrator of the crime would give us some information that would help out in the case. I was pretty well convinced that Monty Seeger was our man. Monty had a brother, a younger brother named Donnie, so I interviewed him. Have a seat there, Donnie. I have to advise you of your rights. Donnie told me that Monty Seeger had taken a coat hanger or something and mashed it down the rifle.
Each barrel has lands and grooves which are different. As the weapon is fired, those become more pronounced, more significant.
He had tried to change the rifling in the gun.
Hager's only chance at solving the Beavers' murders now is to find a bullet fired from the rifle before it was tampered with.
And did he shoot at anything specifically, with any regularity?
We'd go down to Saunders Park, down by where that creek goes over the road.
That's when I found out that there were more slugs. There were more slugs to be found. And Donnie told me he went with Monty on occasion to go target shooting down by Saunders Park. And he described where Monty Seeger used to practice target shooting with his gun. And I found the spot, and I found the bullet holes in the telephone-type post. I took my chainsaw, and I cut the post and carefully split the wood and removed 16 or 17 slugs and sent them to the state lab and asked them to compare these to the bullets we had from the bodies.
We knew that this bullet had been fired by Monty Seeger. Now the key is take it back, put them under a comparison microscope, compare the two of them.
They said that one of the bullets I had recovered from the post matched the bullet that came out of Carol's head.
This showed that the bullets taken from the bodies of the Beavers was the same that was fired from Monty Seeger's weapon. And that was the coup de grace.
Obsessed with her, the locket, brother with information.
It was amazing that quite a few of these observations or things that Phil had seen were in fact accurate.
Investigators believed that Seeger had a distorted obsession with Carol Beavers and was driven to kill out of unrequited love. Clementine Beavers was simply in the wrong place at the wrong time.
Monty was subsequently convicted of first-degree murder in the deaths of Clementine and Carol Beavers and was sentenced to life in prison.
It's nice to see justice done in a case like this. It's nice to see somebody like Monty Seeger go to prison for the rest of his life, where you know he's not going to harm anybody else.
Thanks to psychic Phil Jordan and determined police work, a ruthless killer is now behind bars.
I think the psychics have their place. They definitely have something the rest of us don't. They have a sixth sense, and I would do it again.